G'day there, Peter Moriarty here. Thank you so much for joining. If you are on the live stream, please make sure you say hello. Drop me a little message and let me know where you're watching from. I always love to know where you are in the world, so it would be wonderful to hear from you. If you are watching the replay, drop down a hashtag repeat. Also great to connect with you as well. Let me know what you're up to. I'm currently based in Manila, traveling around, spending time with our team here. We've got a pretty large team in the Philippines. And I'm launching a social enterprise, which is pretty exciting. So doing some work with our teams here. So if you're interested in following along with what I'm up to outside of just the kind of tech world, you can head along, connect with me on social media. Jump onto any one of the links down below this video, and you can connect with me on Instagram. It's probably the best place to stay in touch with me. But I've also got some additional channels that I'm posting on YouTube as well. I just launched Moriarty Uncut, and I'm posting unfiltered, unedited, just kind of like raw Pete Moriarty stuff. So if you're interested in more on the leadership and I guess non-tech world, so the intersection of business and leadership and the intersection of business and psychology, that's the stuff that I'm really passionate about. You can check that out on Moriarty Uncut. But this channel, IT Genius, is obviously going to stay at the intersection of business and tech. This is where we cover everything tech. And so in this stream, what I'm going to do is go through my questions and answers. I'm going to go through questions and give you answers. And I'm going to share with you as much as I can to answer the questions that you have around Google Workspace and anything to do with tech or business leadership in the technology space. So I love handling these kind of questions for you. Remember, you can always ask questions at ask.itgenius.com. That's the place to go to where you can just pop in a live question if you want. I'll be able to answer a question. I don't always get to every single comment and every single question that happens on the actual live stream while I'm streaming. So if you want to make sure your question does get answered, there is now a democratic process for me answering questions. So just head along there, ask.itgenius.com, and that should be in the comments as well. You can go ahead and submit a question live, and I'll try and get to all of the live questions if I can. All right, well, welcome. We've got a few people who've said hello on the stream. Thank you so much for joining. Great to have you here. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so we've got a question here from Suzcan19. I have a team of over 500. Is there a way to create a link, not a public link, but a link to view a Google group calendar, or do I have to input individual email addresses? Okay, well, that's a great question. When you're creating a shared resource for a number of people inside your business, you probably do want to have a way of sharing that resource with them via a link, rather than just sharing it individually or one by one, or adding people one by one. The smartest way to share a resource with a group of people inside a Google Workspace account is to actually use a group. Because group-based permissions, and specifically I'm talking about security groups that you can set up in your admin panel, will allow you to have one shared resource shared with a bunch of people, and any person you add to that group will retroactively be given access to any of that group's resources. So it's very easy to set up. And so that group, when you, for example, add a person to a calendar event, maybe you've got like a recurring sales meeting, weekly catch-up for the sales team. Well, what you would do is when you onboard a new person to your sales team, you add them to the sales group inside your admin panel, and then automatically they're going to get access to all of the recurring calendar events. But this person specifically asked about accessing a specific calendar, an individual specific calendar, or sorry, a group-based calendar. So let's go ahead and have a look at how we can do that and actually access a group-based calendar, or share access to a group-based calendar. So I'll show you what my calendars look like on my screen here. So on the left-hand side of my screen, I've got my own kind of like Peter Moriarty calendar here. But then I've also got a number of other calendars here, and some of these are group calendars. So I'll use our marketing calendar as an example here. We call that the Attract team. And if I go into the settings and sharing for my marketing calendar, that's going to actually show me all of the information about that, that calendar there. Now, if I scroll down, you can actually see there's a number of different URLs for this calendar, and you can see I'm not going to reveal the whole URL, but I won't show that for you. But you can see here there are individual URLs for each one of those calendars. Now, I'm just going to double check because I'm pretty sure, even though this URL says that it's public, I'm pretty sure if I open that in an incognito tab, yeah, it's going to ask me to sign in. So I went and attempted to share that public URL, and it actually asked me to sign in to Google Calendar, which tells me that it's not going to allow me to access this calendar unless I actually have permission. So if somebody is a member of the correct group that has the correct permission, they will be able to see this calendar. And so if I go ahead and open up the calendar in a separate tab, and the reason I'm not showing you the individual URLs is just for security, even though there's really no way you'd ever be able to get access to it, but just in case, let me open it up here. So I've got the individual, there we go. So I've got the individual calendar here, and that's showing me the events on the calendar. Now, to actually add that into my calendar, I don't think that's the correct link for me to use. I want to find, where is the link to the calendar? Here we go. So when I'm in the calendar settings, you'll see here, access permissions for events and get shareable link. When someone clicks get shareable link, and I'll just hide that. There we go, just make sure that's not a fully formed URL. Excellent, cool. When I click onto get shareable link, I can copy that link straight from there. And with that shareable link, I can actually share that to anyone inside my company. And so as long as they are a member of the group, that shareable link will open up the calendar. Now, Google Calendar is a bit funny. In the old days, when you shared a calendar with someone, it would send an email to them and say, here you go, you can click a button now and you can add this calendar into your Google Calendar. But it didn't always work. Sometimes it would add a calendar automatically for someone, or sometimes they would have to click a button to add the calendar. And I remember there was never really a rhyme or reason why it would happen each way. It was always really confusing. And so using this link sharing has always been a surefire way to know, okay, I want to add that calendar into my Google Calendar, click this one button, and it will always open up that calendar. So as long as you have permission, it's going to allow you to open them. So in this scenario, to the person who has asked this question, they've said, hey, I've got this team of 500, how do I create this, how do I create this, oops, I think I just marked it as answered, that's okay. How do I create this link to the calendar and allow my team to access it or allow my staff to access it? That is how you do it. You go in there, you grab the share link, and then anyone can access it from there. And you could embed that into a Google document and link it from there. You could make that a bookmark in your Google Chrome policies and have that bookmark appear inside someone's Google Chrome. You could just drop that to them in chat. You could pin it in a task management app or somewhere else on your website. Lots of different ways where you can share that link and allow someone to get access to that. All right. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for joining. Carter, great to see you on the live. Thank you for joining. I will answer your question. I can probably take your question now, actually. Cool. So Carter asks, are you aware of any future features or potential upgrades for Google Tasks coming in the way? What I would say is Google are spending a lot of time developing Google Tasks. I don't know exactly what features are coming on the roadmap. If I did, I would give you like a wink or a nudge, but I don't have any winks or nudges to give on that one. But what I do know is that Google, facing opposition from Asana, Monday, Rike, ClickUp, and all the different task management apps that people are turning to for their workflows. Now, Google aren't necessarily trying to be a be-all and end-all to everyone. They haven't launched their own CRM system. They're not trying to necessarily compete head-to-head with project management systems. But what they are trying to do is be a hub for people to be able to get their work done. And if you think about their main competitor, which is the Microsoft Office ecosystem, Microsoft have got a pretty good ecosystem around communication and team collaboration with Microsoft Teams. They've always had great tasks inside Outlook for flagging emails for follow-up and basic task management. Now, I haven't touched Microsoft in about a decade, and so I don't know exactly how they're doing on the collaborative team task management, assigning tasks to others and working through that. They've always had Microsoft Project, which has been kind of like a standalone project management app. But what I do know is that Google want to make your work easy. And ideally for Google, if you can do everything inside the Google ecosystem, that's better for them because it's more time using their tools and you're going to be a stickier customer. So what I do know is that Google are developing tasks. You would have seen that inside places like your calendar. Let me go back to my calendar here. And where are my tasks? There are my tasks. So you would have seen inside my calendar here, I can create tasks. My old reminders are now being moved over to tasks. Let's hit that button and see what happens when I move my reminders over to tasks. Haven't actually done this. Who knows what reminders are going to be in there? Probably some very old calendar events or some very old emails. There we go, moved to tasks. And for some reason, I can't see them. It's got all the completed ones, but nothing else. Anyway, there you go. But there's one place for your tasks across all the different apps, whether you're in Calendar, whether you're working inside your Gmail, whether you're inside of Chat, you're able to access your Google tasks from lots of different places now. So Google are putting effort into developing tasks. I don't think they'll ever get it to the point where it's going to be a serious competitor for the sophistication that you get inside of an Asana or a Monday or something else. But they are starting to build out some pretty smart tools inside of Google Sheets, as an example, using Smart Canvas. And so Smart Canvas is a way of having more structured data inside a Google Sheet. And so, you know, that may be replicating some of the things that you would normally turn to Asana or Monday for. Perhaps Google are trying to take a multi-pronged approach where your data lives in spreadsheets and your tasks live in tasks, and maybe that's enough for a small business to get by. In my personal opinion, once you've got more than 2 or 3 people in your business, you really want to move to a more sophisticated task management platform so you can manage projects with multiple stages, so you can have tasks with subtasks and dependencies. If you start using features like timelines or custom fields or automations with a tool like Zapier to have automated tasks created for different functions inside your business, that's usually the smartest way to connect and collaborate with your team, particularly if they're geographically dispersed or you're running a remote team. Google Tasks, in my opinion, just doesn't have the sophistication yet for a small business to really get the most out of it. So that's my opinion on tasks. Thanks for asking the question. Okay, cool. All right. Great. Delane, does it make sense to buy Cloud Concierge if I'm from Germany? I can speak English, and what does unlimited support mean? Yeah, great question. We have spun up, so we're obviously based in the Australian time zone, being an Australian company. We also have the US time zone spun up as well. We've just hired nearly 10 people to handle the US time zone. So that's all going really well. If you're in Europe, it's a little bit harder. We do run our team into our Australian evening, which is your European morning. And so you're going to have a shorter support window where you'll be able to get access to our team. But don't let that stop you. If that does work for you, or you don't mind getting up a little bit earlier, then we do have many customers in the European region. So if you're in Germany, or if you're in the UK, or if you're somewhere in the European area of the world, have a chat to our team, let them know exactly what you're looking for, and it's probably going to be a good move for you. You are going to have slightly shorter time zones. In the next year or so, I expect that we'll have full-time staff covering European time zone, but we're just kind of like spinning up the US area first, and then we'll move over to the European time zone after that. What does unlimited support mean? Well, our team does a lot of things inside Concierge, and so we do your general typical IT support, everything for the Google Workspace ecosystem. So that might be adding policies inside Google Chrome. It might be organizing your Google Drive, doing an audit of your data and helping you set up shared drives. It might be helping you set up security groups and structuring your business so that your team know where to find the information that they need to find and you don't lose any files. It might be setting up a backup for Google Workspace just in case something happens to your account, you get locked out, an employee deletes files accidentally or on purpose. It might be, IT support type stuff like, if you need printers managed, or, you want to roll out Chrome devices and you need some help managing that. So that's everything kind of in the Google ecosystem world, and the unlimited support means it's all you can eat. So there's no limit on the amount of support you can get from us. We have customers who put in requests for us every single week, sometimes even nearly every day. requesting support from our team. So if you want help with most things to do with small business IT, our team can handle it. They've got a clear scoping document on exactly what we can do and what we can't do. And if you have a chat to our team, they'll be happy to share that with you. Now, that's just for Google Workspace. What we also cover inside of Concierge is all of the other apps that make a small business tick. So we're partners for Asana, for Hiver, which is a shared mailbox tool, which is very useful for customer service or customer delivery. We're a partner for Copper CRM, which is a Google-based and deeply integrated with Google customer relationship management software. So that's really great for your sales team, managing your sales pipeline, managing your deal flow, making sure that you manage all of the relationships with your customers. Absolutely phenomenal app. We're a global partner for that. We're a global partner for LastPass, even though we get a bit of heat for that because they've got lots of bad press at the moment, but we're still sticking with LastPass. They've got a fantastic tool for sharing passwords amongst your team. I haven't made an individual video on their security issues just yet, but that is in the works. I might record that one later today. What else do we have on the roster? I think that's about it. Oh, Dialpad. Dialpad are a cloud-based phone system, again, deeply integrated with Google Workspace, allow you to take business calls from wherever you are in the world using a local business number, but it's deeply integrated with your CRM system and also the rest of your business tools with Google Workspace. And so all of those suite of applications make up a small business powerhouse of apps to get your work done and apps for your team to be productive. And we support all of those under Concierge, and our aim is basically to be like a virtual IT department for small businesses, but with a strong focus on cloud. Most IT companies called managed service providers will actually spend most of their time on infrastructure and pretty geared and biased towards Microsoft Kit. Whereas, we decided, okay, we'll be the Google guys, and so everything we do is very cloud-based, cloud-first, cloud-focused, and designed and built for remote teams. And so if you've got a remote team or a remote distributed team or a hybrid team, then we're a good option to work with. Oh, I forgot to mention, even we're a Zapier partner as well. So you get unlimited Zaps under our plans as well. So if you want to have someone, drop a lead form on your website and have that automatically add a lead into Copper, into your CRM system, so a sales member could follow up with them, and then automatically create a customer record in your billing system, and then automatically shoot them an email to say, welcome to doing business with us, or maybe you want to automatically schedule a calendar event using a booking system, and then finally, maybe you want to put their details into a spreadsheet and have an alert pop up inside your Google chat. All of those things can be automated with Zapier, and any recipes that you cook up that you want to create automations for, our team will build them out in Zapier for you. As well as plenty of other things we do, like building business dashboards and scripts inside of Google Sheets. If you want anything related to the Google Workspace ecosystem, we can probably do it for you. All right, I think I've covered that off pretty well. Cool. Chris has asked, do we have any US-based reps would like to do an audit, but it was after hours? Yeah, Chris, we don't have the sales team. We haven't got a sales team set up for dedicated US hours yet, but if you just let the team know that you're in the US, they'll do their best to find a time that works for you. Cool. Those crazy Arkwrights have said you haven't been able to find the classroom. So frustrating. Okay, cool. Just drop a message through to our team. If you email help@itgenius.com, they'll be able to get you connected to that. It may not be, I don't think there's a link to it on the website once you're a member. If you just email through to the support team, help@itgenius.com, someone will jump straight onto that. They're online now. And so someone will be able to jump onto that and help you out today. All right, let's get back to the questions. Thanks so much for the questions, guys. Great to have you here online and live. All right, so where was it? Bruce asked, any suggestions for shared contact lists from Canada? Welcome, Bruce. Thanks for joining. There are a number of third-party apps that make sense for shared contacts. The original one was just called, I think, googlesharedcontacts.com. Let me open up and see if that's even still alive. There we go, getsharedcontacts.com. I don't know if that's still the same. Maybe it is. I've got a feeling that's still the same one. There we go, getsharedcontacts.com. Yeah, this is it, by GApps experts. This has been around for like a decade. So this is probably the best bet for you to have a look at. I haven't used it or tested it in a very, very long time, but it's seemingly pretty straightforward. There are other tools out there. If you have a chat to a team, they can potentially give you a different recommendation. Yeah, personally, this would probably be the best place to start looking. I personally have just pretty much given up on contacts. I don't bother sharing them with our team because all of our customer information and all of our contacts live inside of Copper CRM. And so Copper CRM is basically the brain for the business. Everyone's individual contacts that sit inside their emails, which to be honest get pretty darn overwhelming, we just kind of leave them inside the contacts. And the database, or the one common source of truth for our contacts, actually sits inside Copper CRM now, because that includes the history of someone and notes on their account and any sales that have happened with that person, and any follow-ups that are scheduled with that person. It's just much more powerful than the built-in contacts. Google does have the ability to delegate access to your contacts to someone else, meaning that you can share access to your contacts to a PA or someone else that you want to have help manage your contacts. Personally, I haven't used that feature, but that feature does exist there. I don't think Google are really nailing contacts. Maybe one day they'll put some more engineering time into it. But you got to remember, in Google's world, their philosophy for everything is search first. And so Google have that feature where anytime you email someone, it's going to add them to your contacts for you. And then Google just expects that you're basically going to search your contacts and not bother maintaining them individually. And so effectively what Google is saying is, hey, you're just going to collect contacts over time. Just go and search for them when you need them. And that's really how Google approach things. So I don't expect they're going to create a sophisticated contact database inside there, because I think contacts are always just going to be a bit of an afterthought, and they just want you to search inside Gmail or search inside your contacts to find what you want to find. Anyway, but I hope that was helpful. All right, let's go back to my questions. So just a reminder here, if you'd like to ask a question, head along to ask.itgenius.com. I've dropped the link in the chat there. That's the best place to drop your questions. And then there's a democratic process to make sure that I answer these. There's heaps of people on this stream, which is amazing. I love having heaps of people live. We will eventually reach a point where I can't get to every single question. I think we're kind of getting close to that now as the channel gets more and more popular. So if you can, please try and use the Q&A option, the ask.itgenius.com, because what that does is it lets people vote up the questions that they want to have answered. All right, let me see the next Google question. Okay. Oh, this is a wonderful one. Now, I wish I could click a button and kind of like highlight a question, but I don't think it's going to let me. What if I click the full screen button? No, I don't think so. What does that do? Oh, that moves it to the top. Okay, so I think this shows the one that I'm answering. I'm still learning this app. So, Huzaifa, I hope I probably didn't pronounce that right. So this person asks, what's your opinion on Chrome OS Flex devices? Are there any major limitations in how these devices integrate into Google Workspace? That's a wonderful question. So if you're not familiar, Chrome OS Chrome OS Flex is Google opening up their Chrome operating system to the world and now allowing businesses all over to basically roll out Chrome OS to any old hardware that you've got lying around. And this is very exciting because, previously, if you wanted to get access to Chrome's operating system, you'd have to buy a Chromebook or a Chrome box. They were licensed machines. They've always been tremendous value, but you basically were locked down to using certain types of hardware. And Chrome OS Flex now allows you to basically install Chrome OS on any computer you like. Now, one of the magic things about this is Chrome OS tends to extend the life of an older computer by 2, 3, or maybe even 5 years, because Chrome OS is a very lightweight operating system. It's Linux-based, and effectively it really only runs a Chrome browser and a very, very basic file browser, meaning that it's very, very lightweight. And so if you've got an older computer that maybe has collected a bit of gunk over the years, got a little bit slower, you can actually use Chrome OS Flex to breathe a bit of life into an older machine. It'll wipe the operating system, it'll format the hard drive, and it will install Chrome OS Flex And with Chrome OS, you can basically access the full Google ecosystem. You've got Chrome browser. You can synchronize policies down to that device. You can have it connected to your Google Workspace account and employ all of the Chrome policies that you normally would to a device or to a Chrome browser. And they're absolutely great machines. They're very secure. There's no spyware. There's no malware. You've got all the protection of Google, but you don't have any of the nasties or the IT management upkeep that you would normally have using another operating system like a Windows machine or a Mac machine. So how do you access Chrome OS Flex? Well, you can just Google it, get access to it. You create a little USB drive that's basically your flash drive, and then you can plug it into an old computer. Keep in mind, it's going to wipe anything that's on that computer, so it's going to erase the operating system if you do have anything else that's on there, but then you've got a Chrome device. Now, the question here is, what's my opinion on the devices, and are there any limitations on how you might integrate them into Google Workspace? There are some specific limitations around policies inside of Google Chrome. There are some specific limitations to do with the management of the devices, as opposed to, say, a Chrome device, which is literally Chrome hardware and will have things like a security chip built into the motherboard. But for the most part, once you connect it up to Google Workspace, there isn't really any difference between a Chromebook or a Chrome OS Flex device that you've created in your office or, inside your backyard by plugging in the USB stick. So Chrome OS is a great way of getting access to Google Chrome. You can also use it to just test it out if you want to try it without necessarily committing. So if you grab a USB stick, you turn it into a Chrome boot stick with the Chrome OS Flex downloader, you can actually boot into Chrome OS Flex. You can test it out on a machine just by booting off your USB drive without having to actually wipe your computer. So there is an option to try before you buy, to try out the operating system. Of course, when you shut it down, it's not going to save any of your data, but that's kind of the point with Chrome OS. Anytime you're using a Chrome OS device, as long as you've configured this inside the settings, anything you do on that device is going to be saved to the cloud. Any downloads that you make are going to be saved inside your Google Drive. Any apps that you're accessing are probably going to be browser-based because you're accessing them via Chrome. But you also have the option of connecting to other tools like Microsoft Remote Desktop if you want to. You could deploy applications using Virtual Desktop with a tool like Citrix. And these devices are very, very powerful for machines, particularly if you've got an aging fleet of computers and you want to get a bit more life out of them. If you're already doing everything on the cloud and you want to just access your Google Workspace account or access online tools, you can convert old computers to Chrome OS Flex and then be able to access all those tools and get a bit more life out of an old asset. Very, very cool. Big thumbs up from me for Chrome OS Flex. Wonderful. All right, let me mark that one as answered. And I'm going to see for the most recent questions that have come through. All right, so this is a question from someone called Difficult. Thank you. That's a funny name, isn't it? So Chrome updates have been disabled by my administrator. However, he has updated the permission in the admin tool, but still unable to update. The only way to update is to download an exe, and it works. Any thoughts? I'm on Windows 11 Pro. That's very interesting. So I'm assuming this is actually a Microsoft ecosystem question rather than a Google ecosystem question. Because what this sounds like is it's probably more something to do with Active Directory and accessing Chrome in a Windows-based environment. But what I will say is you should be able to roll out Chrome via an update management inside Windows. I forget what it's called these days, but effectively you can update the Chrome, it used to be called the MSI file. And that's basically the enterprise version of Google Chrome. And what you can do with the enterprise version of Google Chrome is an administrator in a Windows network can actually push down the updated Chrome file, and that will be updated on all of the computers that are managed by that network. So the person who here has asked this question has said, they're able to download the exe file and it works there. I would say whoever your administrator is needs to have a look at their Windows-based administrator settings for updates. If you're unable to update an app or a program on your computer, and there is something restricting that from happening on your Windows machine or on your Mac machine, that's going to be something to do with the policy inside your company. Now, on a Windows environment, that's called group policy. Been a long time since I've touched any of that, but group policy is where you would manage the administrator controls of any of the apps inside your organization. And you know, I mean, it may be different, may be managed differently now if you're using a tool like Azure or online directory sync. But you should be able to adjust those administrative settings inside the Windows environment. Sorry, I can't be much more help with that. That is no longer my wheelhouse. Cool. Let me mark that one as answered. All right, a few questions coming through on chat. Thanks so much for being on the live, by the way. If you haven't said hello yet, let me know where you're watching from. Would love to know where in the world you're at. I'm currently in Manila, traveling here, spending time with the team, and spinning up a social impact initiative. So would love to know where you're watching from. There's usually people from all over the world, and I love connecting. So thank you for joining. All right, question here from Chris. I'd like to master our Google Workspace as a new admin. Google certification doesn't really do it well. What are your suggestions? Good question, Chris. I would say keep asking questions on the channel. If you ask me a whole bunch of questions inside ask.itgenius.com, I will do my best to make individual videos on those, giving as many administrative tips as I can. We do have an admin basics course inside our Genius Academy. I don't know how up to date it is. I'm not sure when the last time was that I recorded that, but we do have a lot of administration basics covered. I would also say to come along to our bootcamp as well, which covers a lot of fundamentals on managing a Workspace account. But depending on how technical you are, if you've already gone through the certifications and you're not really feeling they're covering things enough for you, I'm not quite sure where to recommend you from there. You know, Workspace is kind of one of those things where it's a very niche area, and a lot of people just have had to, learn it kind of by doing. So if you have specific questions or specific, business challenges that you're looking to achieve inside the Google Workspace ecosystem, we'll be very happy to help with that. We also have an audit available if you connect to, I'm assuming you're part of a larger business if you're a full-time administrator. And if you are, I would recommend that you have a chat to our team at onsitehelper.com. They're targeted at working with larger businesses. So if you've got more than 50 employees, I'd recommend you have a chat to those guys. To access their website, if you haven't already, if you head along to itgenius.com/links, or you can actually just head to peter.tv, and I'll put that link in the chat for you guys. You'll see here that there's actually a link. Where is it? Large business inquiry. So if you click onto large business inquiry, that will actually take you to On-Site Helper. So this is another company that I own. It's a sister company to IT Genius, but this business is specifically working with larger organizations with Google Workspace. So have a chat to the team at On-Site Helper if you'd like some help on the administration side of things. We don't yet have like an out-of-the-box course, but we are working on some of those. So let me know what you'd like to learn, and we'll do our best to help you out there. All right, Daniel asks, my email has been suspended by Google. The form that they gave me to fix it doesn't work. How do I unsuspend my email? Daniel, in that case, I'd strongly recommend you just reach out to our team. That's the easiest thing to do. We have a product called Quick Fix, and that basically handles account suspensions and lockouts. I'll drop a link into the live chat for you, but if you head to itgenius.com and click on the Quick Fix button, our team will be able to help you out. You just pay the team a couple $100 and they'll go through our unsuspension process to help you get access to your account again. Sometimes the instructions that Google give you to unsuspend an account don't work. Sometimes you need to push a certain button at a certain time in the right order to get it to work, and our team know the process to do that. We recover plenty of accounts, and if you are a Google Workspace subscriber, so if you're on a business account, then you can actually switch your billing into IT Genius for free, and our team will be able to recover your account anytime you get stuck without even having to call Google. It makes the process very easy. If we are your billing reseller, you don't pay any extra for your licenses, but number one, you build a business relationship with us, which gives you the opportunity to get access the free Concierge plan, so you get a bunch of benefits on the free plan for Concierge. But secondly, if you ever get locked out of your account, our team could go into the back end of your account with one button because we're a reseller, and we can actually reactivate your account as well. And we do that, unfortunately, many times a month for many different customers, whether they accidentally sent an email and Google flagged it as spam, whether they had a bad operator in their business and something got locked down, whether Google found something in your Google Drive and just decided to switch it off. We have these kind of issues pop up all the time. So it's just kind of like an insurance safety net. Doesn't cost you any extra, but you get a bunch of benefits of working with us. Again, that's just on peter.tv. If you head along to that link, the link, where is it? It's called the Transfer In offer. Here we go. Yeah, so you join Genius Academy, you can get the Transfer In offer, and that will actually take you to a page on our website where you can fill in your details, and that will actually switch your billing over to us. Doesn't cost you any extra, but you get a bunch of extra perks and features, which is pretty cool. So a little bit of free support from our team. You get a free account audit and some other bits and pieces. All right. Let's tackle another online question. Loving all these questions coming through live. Thank you for sharing them. Bruce asks, every once in a while we find a leftover person outside our company whom we previously gave access to a specific Google Drive folder. How can we check or search for all people who have access to Google Workspace, Drive, and calendars? Yeah, that's a really great question, Bruce. I don't remember off the top of my head how to manage this or exactly where the report is, but I do know there is a report inside the admin panel which shows external files. Let's go and have a hunt around and see if we can find it. Just perhaps by some magic I can find it easily inside my account. Let's see if it's going to let me. Oh, of course it's going to ask me for my two-step verification. Bear with me one moment. All right, we've got that done. Okay, so inside the admin panel, let's go to reporting. Actually, I'm going to search. Let's see if external invitations. I wonder what that is. Oh, that's probably a policy for external sharing. Yeah, no, that's not what we want. Okay, cool. Let's go into reports. I've got a feeling there will be a sharing report. These look like they're mostly events. Events. App reports. I wonder if it's in Drive app reports. Here we go, external shares. Got it. Cool. So that's going to give you the number of external shares. There we go. Look at that. A whole bunch of files just got switched to anyone with the link. I don't know if that's necessarily going to give us the individual files that are shared. Let's go and have a look at that. Oh yeah, look, it looks like it's downloading records. Open in Google Sheets. See what's in here. I'm just going to see how incriminating it is. So that appears to just give me the numbers. That would be one to ask our team, I think. And maybe our team can, when they cut this up, the edit team can maybe add some B-roll with some instructions on how to get access to that. So that one is not necessarily going to show exactly what you're after. I think you used to be able to search inside of Google Drive for shared with, and that might let you choose for files shared outside the company. Let me have a look. Let's try doing that in Drive. Because I remember you used to be able to search for files owned by people outside your company. That's weird, my Drive's not working. First rule of the demos, everything breaks. Why can't I share that? Can I do all? Here we go. Okay. So shared to, I wonder if that will let me say shared to external. No, it doesn't look like it. All right, cool. I'll make a follow-up video on that one because I'm sure there's a couple of methods for that. I know there are third-party tools that will let you do that kind of thing. But let's talk first about sharing and how you should be sharing inside your business, because it's actually pretty important that you have the it's very important that you have some sharing protocols set up with inside your business which make sense for you and protect your data. So when you're sharing a file inside your business or outside your business, as you're a growing business, and by growing business I mean anyone who's got more than 2 employees inside the business, you should be considering switching to group-based permissions instead of using individual sharing. And what I mean by that is, as your business grows, you want to identify organizational units, they're called, but basically groups of staff, where you want to share certain files and certain resources with. So one group of staff might be executives or business owners inside the business. Another group of staff would be managers or senior leaders. Another group of staff would be accounts or finance. Another group of staff would be everyone inside the business who are employees. And yet another group of potential people you need to share with would be contractors or people outside the business, or potentially individual customers. Now, the smartest way to do this is to set up groups using the groups feature and set up security groups for each different person inside the business or each different group of people inside the business, and then share resources with those groups. So when you're spinning up a shared drive, you share it with a group. When you've got a shared calendar, you share it with the appropriate group. When you have a Google site, maybe, you share that with the appropriate group. And what that means is you're not having to rely on remembering who have I shared individual files with inside or outside the business. The other great thing that you can do is inside Google Drive is you can actually lock down certain Google Drive shared drives so that only certain people can access them. So what does that look like? Well, inside my shared drives, let's say, for example, my training drive, I don't ever want that to be shared outside my company because I don't want anyone who's outside IT Genius to access any of our training material. Well, inside my shared drive settings here, I can tick this little box and say, or it's unticking the box, allow people outside of IT Genius to access files. What that means is anything that lives inside that folder, or that shared drive rather, will never be able to be seen outside of the company. And so for certain shared drives where you set up certain areas of the business where you want to have them restricted, you can designate that you never share any of the files there outside the business. And for anything else, you want to use group-based permissions. Now, the easiest thing or the smartest thing about using group-based permissions means that when you have someone, for example, a contractor, need to access certain files within the business, all you have to do is add them to the contractor group. And automatically they'll have access to anything that you want to give contractors access to. It might be read-only access to certain files. It might be read and upload access to certain shared drives, but not the ability to change things or not the ability to delete things. It might be you just want to share one calendar with contractors so they can see things that are going on inside the business, but maybe you don't want to share the details of the events on that calendar. You just want to see if people are free or busy. Well, they're the kind of things where you can deploy a contractor security group, and then when a contractor is no longer working with the business, you remove them from the group, and then once they've been removed from the group, hey presto, they lose access to all of those resources. Makes it very, very easy. So that's my strong recommendation when you're sharing things with people outside the business. It doesn't necessarily stop individual files being shared with people to other outside operators outside the business, but when you have a culture of using group-based permissions, it can lock things down. As you become a larger and a larger business, and I mean north of 20, 30, 40, 50 employees, when you're really in scale-up mode and considered what we would call a mid-market business, you want to do things like starting to set organizational units within the business and actually locking down the ability to share outside the company to whole groups of staff. Because some staff just probably never have a valid reason to share anything on a document outside the business, and that's where Chrome policy comes into place. You would set up an organizational unit inside your admin panel, and inside that organizational unit, start to restrict your sharing settings. If you'd like some help configuring that, then head along to onsitehelper.com. The link is down below this video. You'll be able to access that through the team and have a chat to them about enterprise level security settings for your business. We love setting those up for companies as businesses scale to keep things nice and locked down. And that's especially important if you've got compliance or risk management to think about, or you just want to make sure that you have a lower possibility of a security breach. Great questions. Cool. All right. Brian, this is a good one. So Brian asked the question, is it possible to use your own workspace account as an admin for a client's workspace, or would you require to have access to the admin account on their workspace? For example, my account with domain A has access to domain B's admin dashboard. Brian, the easiest way to do that would be to be signed up as a Google reseller, but you need to have a lot of minimum requirements to do that. Let me tell you, it's not the most fun business to be a part of because it takes an insane amount of scale for it to be anywhere near profitable. But if you are interested in that and you have a number of clients, you can get access to a reseller portal, which will allow you to actually manage subdomains underneath that. So we've got thousands of businesses that we manage support for, and they all sit in an administrator portal. And in that admin portal, we can actually access any one of our customers' admin accounts. If they allow us to, they've got to tick a button in their admin panel. And we can recover the account if it's been switched off. We can manage the billing, obviously, and we can, if we need to do user operations or anything else in the back end of a customer account, we can do that via the admin panel as a reseller. Now, if you are someone and you just want to manage one domain, you just want to get access to another account, you can actually use something called Google Identity. And with Google Identity, what you can do is you can create an administrator user, potentially even a super administrator user if you wanted to, inside your customer's account without having to pay for a license. So without having to assign a mailbox to that user, you can get access to that domain's admin panel with an identity without having to pay for an extra license. So that's the smartest way to get access from domain A over to domain B. You can't literally delegate access from one domain to another domain via admin access or anything like that, but you can spin up a user without a mailbox using Google Identity Provider, and with that you can access your customer's account with an external account. So if that's useful for you, that might be one way of achieving that. Good question. All right, cool. Another one from Kai. I think this might even be the same question. I own a web hosting and website building company. I was hoping to offer Workspace to clients as a perk. If I manage their domains, can I not have all the domains under one Workspace account and create separate users for each client? Would they have access to, oh, no, don't do that. Oh my God, don't do that. If you're trying to run multiple businesses and they're multiple separate and discrete companies, do not put them under one Workspace account. That would be, it's against the terms of service, I'm sure, to have completely separate entities that are unrelated in one Workspace account, but that's just going to create an absolute mess. So do not do this at all, ever. If you're really serious about managing multiple Workspace accounts, you should sign up as a reseller. There are minimum revenue requirements and all those kind of things are responsible for that. And then you would create a separate individual Google Workspace account for each company. The only time you would have multiple domains or multiple users combined under one Workspace account is if they're two businesses that are working very closely together. And I've created many videos on this on the channel. I'm managing multiple domains and when you would choose to have each, whether you go for two separate accounts with two distinct Workspace accounts, or if you just have one consolidated Workspace account with multiple domain names in there operating under the one account. The short story of all of those videos is, and the short story on how to make a decision is, if it's one business and it's fundamentally the same staff, or if you have one set of shareholders and two brands that are effectively being run as one business, that makes sense to have them both in the same account. But apart from that, if it's different businesses, if you have different shareholders, if you are for whatever reason expecting that one of those businesses may need to be merged out of the other or demerged out, then you would want to make sure that you have them separate in separate Workspace accounts, because splitting up users and transferring one domain to another account requires a migration, and it's a bit of a pain to go through that process. We do those every day, all day long. If you want to merge two accounts into one, or if you want to demerge one account into multiple accounts, we do that for businesses under our migration service. So if you're interested in that, click on the link down below this video, and our team will be happy to help out. But if you are a web designer or a consultant or a business consultant of some sort and you want to spin up lots of Workspace accounts, and maybe you don't even want to bother being a reseller, but you just want to help your customers get set up, have a chat to our team. We've got a partner program where you can become an affiliate of IT Genius, and we'll be happy to set those up for you on your behalf. Our team are going to be much faster. We'll train your customers. We'll give them a bunch of perks, and we'll give them a free subscription to Concierge as well, just for billing through us. So if you're interested in that, click on the link down below, get in touch with our team, let them know you'd like to become a partner, a referral or an affiliate partner, and our team will have a chat to you about what that looks like. Good question. Glad that you asked before you went and did that. All right, cool. Let's keep going to the next one. Maybe check how I'm doing on time. I'm doing pretty well, actually. Great. So Graham asks, I have a team member who sends me 30 to 40 Google Chat messages every day. It's over the top, usually distracting, genuinely unnecessary. Is there a way to block individuals from sending chat messages similar to blocking on Viber or WhatsApp? Great question. Yes, you can block people in Google Chat, although if this is a staff member, I'm wondering why you don't just coach them. But if you are inside Google Chat, and I'm going to go ahead and open a chat here, which is, let me try and find one that's not too incriminating before I go ahead and show it. All right, so if I'm inside my Google Chat here, I can go to any direct message. I can click the 3 dots on the left-hand side, and then I can go to block. And you can see here they won't be able to message me. The messages will be hidden. They can read messages that I have sent, but they're not able to do anything further than that. And let me just do that again without my camera blocking it. All right, so you go to a person's account and then you go to block. There we go. I don't know why you'd want to block one of your staff. That seems a little bit, that seems a bit much. Anyway, but if you need to, you can. The most important thing for managing communication inside a business is to reduce distractions, but also know that you have the right mode of communication to keep your team feeling like they're in sync and feeling like they're connected with each other. And it's a very fine line. Instant messaging is great because it has everyone feel connected, but it's also a distraction factory. And so my recommendation is that you train your team to use a task-based or project-based management app for anything that is not urgent. And what I mean by not urgent is anything that does not require an immediate response. Think of chat as the digital equivalent of walking up to somebody's cubicle, knocking on the door and saying, hey, are you free right now? You're basically interrupting whatever flow they are in, and you're forcing them to stop doing what they're doing and pay you attention. And so my recommendation is you don't use chat unless you are checking with someone and saying, hey, let's have a lunch break together, or let's have a chat about something, or hey, I've got this customer emergency that's just popped up. Are you free for a meeting now? Hey, is now a good time to have a chat? I mean, Google have other tools for that. You can look at someone's calendar and see if they're free or not. You can see if they're in a meeting or not. Google now gives you status, so you can see whether someone's busy or not based on the status that they set inside their chat. Inevitably, people are going to use chat, but as much as possible, if you can try and have your conversations about work happening inside another app, whether it's Asana, ClickUp, Trello, whatever your task management app is of choice, they will usually have the ability to add comments and have comment threads. What that does is that reduces the amount of interruptions that happen by using instant messaging, and it's my recommendation that you use those as much as possible. All right, good questions coming through. Lots of good questions coming through. Okay. Anonymous asks, I'm thinking of switching to Chrome OS, but I use Adobe and Corel for my audio visual stuff. Chrome OS for me is a scary step. I know I would be learning all the new stuff, but will my files still open if they are in Adobe Audition? And or can I use the Adobe Cloud to work with? Great question. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to use the standard Adobe suite natively on a Chrome device. Basically, oops, I've hit the wrong button there. Basically, you are locked down to using applications that run on the web, or you need to use applications that are streamed via the browser somehow or streamed via remote desktop. So if you're interested in Adobe Photoshop, one of the Adobe editing applications, they are basically going to be only available for a Mac computer or a Windows computer. They're not going to work natively on a Chrome device. There are alternatives that exist for Chrome, and there are also web-based alternatives, but if you're a full-time graphic editor or video editor, they're just not going to work. If you're an audio editor, if you're a DJ or a music producer, it's just not going to work. That's not really what the operating system is designed for. So you're going to have to find some kind of remote desktop solution to access those apps, or you're going to have to find some kind of alternative, which, for most people, the alternatives are probably not going to be suitable if you're a professional and you're working in those professional grade tools full time. So that's probably not going to work for you. However, if you are interested in testing out Chrome OS before you go and make the commitment, before you go and buy a Chromebook or a Chromebox and invest the money in a new machine, I would recommend that you download Chrome OS Flex to a USB key, create a bootloader for Chrome OS Flex. You can plug that into your computer, boot into Chrome OS Flex, and you can try it out without installing it onto your machine. So without having to install it and wipe your hard drive and convert your computer into a Chrome device, you can actually boot into Chrome OS and get a feel for the operating system. That is my strong recommendation, to get a feel for it. Many people fall in love with Chrome OS once they start using it. What's it great for? Well, it's great for your staff who are working inside your business who are using online tools. And so if you've got a number of online tools and you just want your team to be working in the cloud all day long, and you want them to have a secure operating system, you want all of their data saved and synchronized to their Google account, you want anything they download not to be lost because it automatically backs up to Google Drive, and you want a secure operating system which is going to be less susceptible. I mean, there's nearly no spyware or malware or viruses for Chrome OS. Chrome OS is a great option for you to consider for your business. So if you're interested in that, you can always reach out to us for some help. But if you'd like to try it out yourself, you can go ahead and download Chrome OS Flex, give it a spin, and if you like it, great, you might consider rolling it out to your team. It's free, which is very cool. Thank you, Google, for investing in and buying that technology and to giving Chrome OS to more of the world. Very, very cool move. All right. Let me find another one. Let's mark that as answered. Okay. I have our business set up with G Suite for about 2 months, and I want to make the switch to Outlook. How do I do that? I'm so lost, and I don't want to lose anything. Okay, so that's interesting. I don't know if I'm wondering if maybe this person meant to say I want to switch from Outlook over to Google, but they're saying I want to switch to Outlook. Well, if you want to switch, I mean, I don't have much advice for switching to Outlook. That's not really my. It's not really my jam. But if you're moving from Google to Microsoft or from Microsoft to Google, you need to do a migration. So you need to make use of the migration tools. So Google has a Google Outlook Sync tool. I don't know what it's called these days, but the Google Outlook Sync tool will either let you bring all of your Google G Suite Gmail data down into Outlook so you can access it on Outlook, or if your data is right now sitting in Outlook and you're making the move to Google, then you can synchronize the data from Outlook up and into Google, and it will actually import it and upload it. Now, these processes are time consuming and it's a technical process, so things can go wrong. My strong recommendation is, if you're interested in migrating any data in or out of the Microsoft world, that you have a chat to one of our professional consultants, because we do this all day long and we make sure that businesses manage the process correctly so you don't lose any data. There is a risk of losing data, there's a risk of corrupting data files, there's a risk of mainly downtime and inconvenience for you trying to migrate data between different apps. And so if you're the kind of business owner who likes to waste your time spending weekends dicking around with technical stuff, you may not be able to be saved. But if you're someone who's savvy and understands the value of your time and having other people do things for you, if it's not your natural wheelhouse, then I would recommend you have a chat to our team and have our team actually help manage a migration for you. They're very affordable. We do it under our Concierge program. And so many companies will come to us and say, hey, I've got like 3 staff or 5 staff, or I've got this old mailbox and I want to back up my data into G Suite, or I want to consolidate everything into one place, or maybe, hey, I've got 2 different domain names or 2 different companies and I want to merge them into one and save a bit of money on licensing. All of those we do every day of the week. And so if you're interested in getting some help with a migration, click on the link down below, click for a consultation with our team, and you can get access to our professional support team who will be able to help you out scoping a migration, giving you a price on what that might look like, giving you the action plan for getting the migration done. If you want to have a crack at it yourself, absolutely fine. The tools are out there. You'll probably spend all weekend Googling and working it out yourself and waiting for the data to transfer. But if you want a seamless, done for you process, then our team are on hand to help you out with that. Good question though. Cool. Oops, I wasn't even looking at the camera. I'm sure the editors will fix that in post. Right. Currently, I'm working with a private Google and searching a way to fully migrate to Google Workspace with my @last name domain. In the best case scenario, I cancel my private account and only pay for the workspace. I'm searching for about 5 hours and I haven't found a solution. Okay, this question is not really worded very cleanly, but that's okay. So I'm assuming, so if right now your emails are sitting in a third-party provider for yourname.com, right? And it might be GoDaddy, it might be your ISP, so your internet provider, it might be your other web hosting provider. Those emails are basically being downloaded to your computer right now, whether it's Outlook, whether it's Mac Mail, and they're probably sitting locally on your computer. It is possible maybe that you have a Google Workspace account and you've got one of the old legacy plans. So if you've already got your account on Google, that's different. But I'm talking about if you have an email address and that email address is just yourdomain.com and it's being downloaded to your computer. If you want to switch that domain name into the Google ecosystem, there's a couple of steps to do that. Number one is setting up the account. Number two is migrating your data. First up, to set up the account, you want to create a new Google Workspace account. You're going to register using your domain name, and then you need to verify that account using your DNS. Now, DNS is your domain name settings. They're basically the settings that tell email where to go when someone emails the domain name that you own. Now, with your account, once you set it up inside of Google Workspace, you then have the option of cutting over your mail, and it's called changing your MX records or your mail records inside your DNS settings. And I know this is getting a little bit technical, but you need to then set up your DNS settings to route the mail into Google. Once you've done that, all of your new email is going to start flowing into the Google Workspace ecosystem, and you'll be able to send and receive emails using your domain name. But the final step is to actually migrate all of your legacy data over into Google. Why does it make sense to migrate your data? Well, because if you've got all your computer files just sitting on your local computer and your email just sits on your local computer, you need to manage backing that up. If you lose the computer or it gets corrupted or something goes wrong, you may lose that data. And if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, you never want to lose any information because you might have important customer information in there. Same customer might call you, like a year or two down the track and say, hey, I want the same discount you gave me last time, or I want to sue you. And you need to make sure that you keep all the data inside your business. And so rather than leaving it on your local computer, you can actually migrate that data into the Google ecosystem. And there's a number of tools and methods and processes for getting that done. And so when you migrate your data into your new Gmail account that you've just created under your domain, it means that you can search and access all of your historical data. Makes it very, very easy. And so that step is the migration. The migration step is taking all of your data and uploading it and creating it into Google. Now, if you'd like some help with that, our team do migrations all day long, every day of the week. And we help businesses move from wherever you are now into the Google ecosystem. So whether it's from Microsoft, from MacMail, from Outlook, from GoDaddy, from another email provider, from BlackBerry Mail Server or Zimbra Mail, we used to do those a decade ago. If you've got email anywhere, somewhere on a computer system, and you need to get it into the Google ecosystem, then our recommendation is you go through that migration process. And if you want some help, click on the link down below this video, and our team will be happy to help you with that. Wonderful. All right. Let's look for the next question. Lots of questions coming through. Love that. All right, what's the difference between Google Workspace versus Google Essentials? I have a friend asking me to help set up with Essentials when I use Workspace. Yeah, great question, Bruce. So the Google Workspace Essentials is effectively an individual plan for Google Workspace. I don't know exactly what features it has available on it because I haven't used it myself. But my understanding is it's basically the very, very basics of effectively a Google Workspace account. But it's missing out on a number of business features. Like it doesn't have Google Vault, it doesn't have shared drives, it doesn't have the ability to record your Google Meet. It's basically an individual focused version of effectively Gmail. The only real difference between that and Gmail is you probably get a little bit of extra storage, and then also you get the ability to access some of the more businessy features of Google. Like for example, you can create some shared calendars. although I guess you could technically do that on a Gmail account as well, couldn't you? You get access to so a little bit more storage in Drive, and I'm trying to think what's the other thing. Oh, you get to use a custom domain. That's basically it. So you pretty much just get a Gmail account with a custom domain, but you miss out on all the other enterprisey features. And I don't even know if you get support from Google on that. I presume you'd probably have to be on a business plan to get support from Google. Anyway, that's Essentials. It's pretty useful if you wanted to use it for like a family account as a consumer. But the moment where you want to start doing smarter sharing in Google Drive, if you want to record any of your meetings in Google Meet, you want to make sure that you're on a business plan. That's basically the place to be with Google. But that's Google Essentials. All right. Next question. Lots of great questions coming through. Thank you, Daleen. I just brought Concierge. Welcome, Daleen. Thank you so much for joining. That is awesome. All right. This is a good question. Cool. Well, I already kind of covered this, but I'll cover it again. Just for those in the back. Hi team, I'm managing Google Workspace for a client. However, I can't seem to add my email address as an admin. For this, refer to my earlier video or the earlier portion of this live stream. If you want to manage somebody else's account, you can't do that with your email address. You need to either create an admin under their account and then you just keep the password and access that, or you need to become a reseller and then with a reseller account, you can access the back end of other people's Google accounts. But thanks for asking that question, Anonymous. All right. If I'm logged into my personal Gmail account on my work computer, can my job view, see, and or access my personal account and information? Good question. It's unlikely that they will be able to see into the individual information on your Google account if you're just logged in on a corporate device. However, if you're using a corporate device, people have the ability to see quite a bit of your activity. For example, if you're browsing the internet, they'll probably be able to retain any of the history of your browsing if they wanted to. So they'll be able to see what sites that you've got access to. They may be able to even see any of the cookies that are placed on that computer. So they place information about your browsing history locally on the computer. So they'll be able to get access to that. If you're connecting to certain websites via your favorites in the browser, they're going to see what websites that you're going to. So in effect, if you're using a company device, expect that your information is going to be tracked. Some businesses will even take screenshots of your computer screen of what you're up to and monitor mouse clicks and those kind of things. Usually most businesses are going to do the right thing and disclose that in their employment policy somewhere. But most employment policies are going to have a throwaway line which effectively says, hey, we have the right to monitor any of your computer activity. And so expect that if you're using a corporate device, someone's going to be tracking potentially what you're up to. Now, does that mean that they can log into your Gmail and access files inside your Gmail and access files inside your Google Drive? No, not necessarily. Although if you installed Google Drive on that computer and it started synchronizing your files down to the local desktop, well, those files are sitting on the desktop and that is a corporate controlled machine, and so someone could potentially get access to those. They may even be backing up the computer and getting access to those files and backing them up. So if you're using any kind of corporate device, my advice is just be mindful that anything you're doing may be seen, anything you save there may be accessed, and expect that if you're using a corporate device, it's going to be tracked by someone, because an IT department are probably going to want to be protecting that machine and making sure there's no likelihood that there's viruses. They're going to be reducing security risks inside the business, and for those reasons, they want to be tracking exactly what's going on that machine. Good question, though. I get that question so much, like it's all over the channel. Right, what is this one here? Let's move that one up to the top. If I added my personal Google Voice number as my account verification number on my work Gmail account, can my job see or access my voicemails, calls, and messages? Great question. I don't expect that someone can access your Google Voice account just because you've set it as a verification number. If your Google Voice account is separate to your business account, that's just basically being used as any old mobile phone would be used for verification. And so it's unlikely that someone's going to be able to access, I can't see a way where someone could access your account if your voice number has just been used on your business account. However, my recommendation is actually that you don't use a mobile phone number for two-factor authentication for your Google account. Unfortunately, scams and account hacking are way too common now, and using somebody's mobile phone is actually very easy to get into an account if you have somehow got access to somebody's information, called their internet service provider or their phone service provider and ported the number out to yourself. It's a very common scam that happens now for people to basically thieve your identity and then get access to your accounts. And so what happens is someone somehow will get your identity, they'll call your phone provider, they'll switch your phone number to a new SIM card, and then with your password that they've picked up somewhere, they will access your account and then use the new SIM card that they have access to with your number to get access to your account. So my recommendation is, instead of using your phone number, to use an app-based two-factor authentication on your Google account. And what does app-based two-factor authentication look like? Well, it looks like a rolling, rotating number that is generated from an app, and you can have that app set up on multiple devices, but that rolling, rotating number on that app is how you're going to get access to your account, meaning that someone can't steal your SIM card and steal access to that. Now, there's a great tool that I use called Authy, A-U-T-H-Y, and Authy actually allows you to have multiple authentication devices. I've always had the fear that if I lose my phone, I'll lose all of those digital authenticators, right? And there are ways of getting them back, but it is a little bit of a pain to have to, remember secret keys and secret codes and have them stored somewhere else away from your phone, because typically we're going to keep most things on our phone. Well, Authy lets me have my two-factor authentication set up on two devices. So it also exists on my iPad. It's going to be pretty unlikely that I lose both my phone and my iPad at the same time. And so what that app lets me do is have a backup. Just in case I happen to lose my phone or something goes wrong with it, I can use a secondary device to get access to my two-factor authentication codes. And so an app like that would be my recommendation for you to consider if you want to use a two-factor authentication device. Try and move away from using phone numbers as authentication devices, because unfortunately they're not really considered secure anymore. All right, great question. Let's see any more that have come in. All right, I think that's about it, guys. Please send through any final questions that you have. Let me know. Otherwise, I will be wrapping this up very soon. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to consider joining Concierge, it's a really amazing product. We're basically here to help support small business owners with everything tech. So that means all of the apps that we support, we will do implementations for those. We will support them. We will create integrations between them. If you're interested in a business dashboard, we can build those in what was called Data Studio is now Looker Studio. So if you want a custom dashboard for your business with all of your KPIs, live updating, put up on a TV in your office or something like that. Yeah, very cool stuff that our team do using Looker Studio. If you want to build a zap between different apps in your business and have automations running and Google scripts running, our team will build that for you. Yeah, we're basically a set of technical VAs, virtual assistants, and we are there to help with anything to do with tech inside your business. So if you want a little bit of extra helping hand, IT Genius will be very happy to help you out. And most people start with a tech stack review with us, and that's completely free. So if you just jump on the link down below this video and book a consultation with our team, they will do a tech stack review and just review all the apps that you've got in your business. We might be able to save you a bit of money. We might be able to clean things up, tidy things up for you, set up some automations, or get things running a little bit more smoothly. Best thing to do is have a chat to our team. No matter where you are in the world, we've got customers in 15 different countries. We primarily handle Australian and US time zones, but depending on exactly where you are, we can probably cover you if you're in West Asia or Europe as well. But we are expanding the team rapidly as well to cover more time. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks so much for joining. If you're on the live, thank you for being here. If you're watching the replay, love you guys too. Just drop down a hashtag repeat. Let me know where you're watching from. I try to get to as many comments as I can. So if you do have comments, please make sure you ask away. But also remember, you can now go to ask.itgenius.com and drop any questions that you have there about Google Workspace, and I will do my best to answer them in an upcoming stream. I don't get to all the comments on the channel anymore where there's questions, and so I'm just asking you to drop them into ask.itgenius.com, and you'll get access to them there. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.